Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever noticed how easy it is to tell people what's going on in your life? We share our wins, our struggles, our plans, sometimes without even thinking about it. But let me ask you something. Has sharing ever really helped you move closer to where you want to be? Or has it left you feeling drained, discouraged, and doubting yourself? There's a lesson I've learned that changed the way I approach life. And it might just change yours too. Stop telling everyone what's going on in your life. Stop handing over your power. Your energy is the most valuable resource you have. It fuels your mind, your body, and your spirit. It gives you the strength to get up after every failure, to push through obstacles, and to stay committed to your dreams. But here's the thing, your energy is not infinite. It's not something you can carelessly give away and expect it to come back to you just as strong. That's why you have to learn to protect it. Because if you don't, you'll find yourself drained, discouraged, and stuck in a cycle where progress seems just out of reach. One of the easiest ways we leak our energy is by oversharing. We tell people what we're working on, what we're dreaming about, and what we're struggling with. And sometimes we do this without even realizing it. Maybe we're excited and just want to share the good news. Or maybe we're looking for encouragement when things get tough. Whatever the reason, when we constantly share what's going on in our lives, we give away pieces of our energy, and sometimes we give them to the wrong people. Here's the truth. Not everyone who listens to you has your best interests at heart. Some people might genuinely care, but others are simply curious. They want to know what you're up to, but not because they're cheering for you. They're watching, waiting, even hoping for you to fail. When you share your dreams, your struggles, and your plans with the wrong people, you open yourself up to their opinions, judgments, and doubts. And that can be dangerous. You might think you're strong enough to handle it. You might tell yourself that other people's opinions don't matter. But the truth is, we're all human. We all get affected, even if we don't realize it right away. A careless comment from someone you trust, a look of skepticism from a friend, or a question that plants a seed of doubt in your mind, these things can chip away at your confidence little by little. Before you know it, you're second-guessing yourself, wondering if you're on the right path, and losing the momentum that was pushing you forward. That's why it's so important to protect your energy by being selective about what you share and who you share it with. It doesn't mean you have to shut everyone out or keep all your thoughts and feelings bottled up inside. It simply means being intentional. Ask yourself, does this person really need to know what's going on in my life right now? Do I trust them to support me? Or am I just seeking validation? The need for validation is another trap that drains your energy. We live in a world where everyone is constantly posting, sharing, and seeking approval. Social media has made it easy to fall into the habit of broadcasting our lives and waiting for likes, comments, and applause to make us feel good about ourselves. But the problem with seeking external validation is that it's never enough. It's like chasing a mirage. No matter how much you get, you'll always want more. And in the process, you end up giving away more and more of your energy, hoping that someone else will fill the void. True confidence, true strength comes from within. It comes from knowing that you're on the right path, even if no one else can see it yet. It comes from trusting yourself enough to keep going, even when the road gets tough and the progress is slow. And it comes from protecting your energy so that you have the fuel you need to keep moving forward. Protecting your energy also means setting boundaries. It means recognizing when certain conversations, relationships, or environments are draining you and having the courage to step away. Sometimes that means saying no to people who are used to hearing yes. Sometimes it means walking away from situations that no longer serve you. And sometimes it means being okay with disappointing others in order to stay true to yourself. Boundaries can be uncomfortable. They can make you feel guilty, selfish, or even isolated at times. But they are essential if you want to protect your energy and stay focused on your goals. When you set boundaries, you're not just protecting yourself, you're also giving yourself the space to grow, to heal, and to thrive. One of the most powerful ways to protect your energy is to learn the art of working in silence. When you stop talking and start doing, something incredible happens. You become more focused, more disciplined, and more in tune with your own intuition. You stop seeking approval from others and start finding validation within yourself. And you begin to realize that your energy is too precious to be wasted on people, places, and things that don't align with your purpose. Silence is one of the most underrated forms of strength. In a world that never seems to stop talking, where everyone is constantly sharing, posting, and broadcasting their every move, choosing to remain silent can feel like an act of rebellion. It can feel uncomfortable, even unnatural at first, but there is immense power in silence. It is in those quiet spaces that we discover who we really are, what we truly want, and what we're capable of achieving when we stop worrying about what the world thinks and start listening to ourselves. Silence creates space. It creates room for reflection, for growth, and for deep, meaningful work. When you stop talking about what you're doing and start focusing on actually doing it, you become more intentional. You stop wasting time and energy trying to explain yourself to others or seeking their approval, and you redirect that energy toward your goals. You become more productive, more focused, and more aligned with your purpose. One of the reasons silence is so powerful is that it eliminates distractions. Every time you share your plans, your dreams, or your struggles with others, you open the door to their opinions, their doubts, and their judgments. And even if they mean well, their words can still distract you, plant seeds of uncertainty, and pull you away from your path. When you keep your journey private, you protect it from outside noise. You give yourself the freedom to make mistakes, to learn, and to grow without the pressure of having to perform for an audience. Silence also builds resilience. When you're not constantly seeking validation from others, you learn to trust yourself. You learn to rely on your own inner voice, your own intuition, and your own judgment. This is where true confidence comes from, not from the applause or approval of others, but from knowing that you are capable, that you are enough, and that you don't need anyone else's permission to pursue your dreams. There's a reason why some of the most successful people in the world often say, work in silence and let your success make the noise. When you're silent about your plans, you take the pressure off yourself. You don't have to worry about living up to anyone else's expectations because no one knows what you're working on. You can take your time, move at your own pace, and focus on the process rather than the outcome. And when you do eventually achieve your goals, your success will speak for itself louder and clearer than any words ever could. Silence can also be a form of protection. Not everyone who listens to you has your best interests at heart. Some people are curious, but not because they care. They're watching to see if you'll succeed or fail. And when you share your plans with people who are secretly rooting against you, you give them the opportunity to undermine you, whether intentionally or not. By staying silent, you keep your power. You don't give anyone the chance to derail your progress or shake your confidence. Another reason silence is so powerful is that it forces you to confront yourself. When you're not constantly talking, you have to sit with your thoughts, your fears, and your insecurities. This can be uncomfortable, but it's also where real growth happens. It's in those quiet moments that you start to understand yourself on a deeper level. You begin to recognize the patterns that are holding you back, the beliefs that no longer serve you, and the strengths that you didn't even realize you had. Silence also helps you become more mindful. When you're not distracted by the noise of the world, you start to notice the little things, the way your body feels, the thoughts that run through your mind, the emotions that rise and fall throughout the day. This awareness is a powerful tool because it allows you to respond to life with intention rather than reacting out of habit. It helps you stay grounded, centered, and connected to the present moment, even when things get tough. In a society that often equates silence with weakness, choosing to be silent can be a radical act of self-empowerment. It's a way of saying, I don't need to prove myself to anyone. I don't need to explain myself. I am enough, just as I am, and I trust myself to handle whatever comes my way. It's a way of reclaiming your power, your voice, and your sense of self-worth. Silence can be uncomfortable, especially if you're used to seeking external validation or filling every moment with noise. But the more you practice it, the more you'll begin to appreciate its power. You'll start to notice how much more focused, productive, and peaceful you feel when you're not constantly trying to keep up with the world's expectations. And you'll realize that silence isn't empty, it's full of potential, of possibility, and of the quiet strength that comes from knowing who you are and what you stand for. Criticism is a part of life. It will come whether you ask for it or not, whether you're doing something big or small, and whether you're succeeding or struggling. The moment you decide to step out of your comfort zone and pursue something meaningful, you will attract critics. And while some criticism may be constructive, a lot of it won't be. Much of it will come from people who don't understand your vision, who feel threatened by your ambition, or who simply enjoy tearing others down. That's why it's so important to be careful about who you listen to and how much weight you give to their opinions. Not every critic is coming from a place of concern or genuine care. Some people criticize because they're projecting their own fears, insecurities, and limitations onto you. They might say things like, "Are you sure you can handle this?" Or "That seems risky," not because they want to help you, but because they're afraid to take risks themselves. They see your courage, your drive, and your willingness to do something different, and it makes them uncomfortable. Instead of cheering you on, they try to pull you back down to their level where it's safe, predictable, and familiar. Then there are the critics who criticize out of jealousy. These are the people who want what you have but aren't willing to put in the work to get it. They see your progress, your potential, and your passion, and instead of being inspired, they feel threatened. They might belittle your achievements, dismiss your dreams, or spread negativity about you behind your back. Their goal is to make themselves feel better by making you feel smaller. But perhaps the most dangerous critics are the ones who disguise their criticism as advice. They might say things like, "I'm just looking out for you," or "I'm only saying this because I care," but their words don't empower you, they discourage you. They focus on what could go wrong instead of what could go right. They plant seeds of doubt in your mind and make you question whether you're really capable of achieving your goals. The truth is, not everyone who offers advice has your best interests at heart. Some people give advice because they genuinely want to help, but others do it because they want to control, manipulate, or undermine you. That's why it's so important to be discerning. Before you take someone's criticism to heart, ask yourself, does this person have the kind of life I want? Do they understand what I'm trying to achieve? Are they speaking from a place of love, wisdom, and experience, or from a place of fear, jealousy, or insecurity? One of the biggest mistakes you can make is giving too much power to your critics. When you constantly seek validation from others or worry about what they think, you give them control over your life. You let their opinions dictate your choices, your actions, and your sense of self-worth. And the more you listen to them, the more you start to doubt yourself. You second-guess your decisions, play it safe, and hold yourself back because you're afraid of being judged, criticized, or rejected. But here's the thing. No matter what you do, people are going to have opinions about you. You could be the kindest, smartest, most talented person in the world, and someone will still find something to criticize. That's just how people are. You can't control what they think, say, or do, but you can control how you respond. You can choose to let their words define you, or you can choose to rise above them and stay true to yourself. One of the best ways to deal with critics is to focus on your own growth and progress. When you're busy working on yourself, pursuing your goals, and living your truth, you have less time and energy to worry about what other people think. You stop seeking their approval because you're too busy building the life you want. And the more you succeed, the louder your critics may get. But by that point, their words won't matter as much because you'll be so confident in who you are and what you're doing. It's also important to remember that not all criticism is bad. Sometimes feedback can be a valuable tool for growth. But there's a difference between constructive criticism and destructive criticism. Constructive criticism comes from people who want to see you succeed. It's honest, thoughtful, and focused on helping you improve. Destructive criticism, on the other hand, is meant to tear you down, make you doubt yourself, and keep you stuck. The key is to learn how to tell the difference and to be strong enough to ignore the criticism that doesn't serve you. When you encounter critics, it's easy to take their words personally, but most of the time, their criticism has more to do with them than it does with you. It's a reflection of their own fears, insecurities, and unresolved issues. They see something in you, your courage, your ambition, your potential, that reminds them of what they're lacking. And instead of dealing with their own issues, they project them onto you. In a world where noise seems to dominate everything, there is something incredibly powerful about letting your results do the talking. We live in a culture where people are quick to share every little achievement, announce every plan, and broadcast every struggle. Social media has made it easy to seek attention and validation with just a few clicks. But while it may feel good to get likes, comments, and applause in the moment, none of that can replace the true, lasting power that comes from actual results. When you let your actions and achievements speak for themselves, you build a reputation that is stronger, louder, and more impactful than any words ever could be. Talking about your plans and ideas can be tempting. When you're excited about something, it's natural to want to share it with the world. But sometimes, the more you talk, the less you actually do. You get so caught up in the idea of what you achieve that you forget to focus on the hard work it takes to get there. You start chasing approval instead of progress. And before you know it, you've spent more time talking about your goals than actually working toward them. When you stay quiet and focus on the work, something incredible happens. You become more disciplined, more productive, and more focused. Without the distractions of other people's opinions, you can put all your energy into what really matters, taking action. You stop worrying about how things look from the outside and start paying attention to the things that will actually move you forward. And over time, those small, consistent actions add up to something big, something that speaks for itself. Letting your results speak for you doesn't mean you have to hide your dreams or keep everything a secret. It simply means prioritizing action over talk. Instead of announcing what you're going to do, show people what you've done. Instead of seeking validation from others, find fulfillment in your own progress. And instead of worrying about how you're being perceived, focus on becoming the kind of person who doesn't need to explain themselves, because their work, their character, and their achievements say it all. One of the biggest advantages of letting your results speak for you is that it helps you avoid unnecessary pressure. When you constantly talk about your goals, you create expectations, both for yourself and for others. You feel like you have to live up to the image you've created, and that can make the journey feel stressful, overwhelming, and even paralyzing at times. But when you keep your head down and focus on the work, you free yourself from that pressure. You can take your time, make mistakes, and grow at your own pace without worrying about how it looks to anyone else. There's also a certain mystery and intrigue that comes with keeping things to yourself. When you're quiet about your plans, people start to wonder what you're up to. They might underestimate you, dismiss you, or assume you're not doing much. And that's okay. Let them think what they want. Because when you finally reveal what you've been working on, your results will speak so loudly that they won't be able to ignore them. And by that point, their opinions won't matter anyway, because you'll already be on your way to the next goal. Another benefit of letting your results speak for you is that it builds genuine confidence. When you rely on external validation, your self-worth becomes tied to other people's opinions. You feel good when they praise you, but the moment the applause stops, you're left questioning yourself. But when your confidence comes from your own progress, it becomes unshakable. You know what you're capable of because you've seen the results. You've done the work, faced the challenges, and proven to yourself, and only yourself, that you have what it takes. It's important to understand that not everyone will cheer for you, even when your results speak for themselves. Some people will be inspired by your success, while others will be threatened by it. That's just the way it is. But when you let your results do the talking, you take away their power. You don't need their approval, their validation, or their support, because your work stands on its own. And that kind of quiet, unshakable confidence is something that no one can take away from you. Letting your results speak for you also helps you stay grounded. When you're focused on the work rather than the recognition, you stay connected to your purpose. You remember why you started in the first place. And you stay motivated by your own progress rather than external rewards. This keeps you humble, resilient, and committed to continuous growth, even when things get tough. There will be times when it's tempting to seek attention, to announce your plans, or to prove yourself to others. But before you do, ask yourself, what do I really want? Attention or progress, recognition or results? Because at the end of the day, the people who achieve true, lasting success aren't the ones who talk the most. They're the ones who do the work, stay the course, and let the results speak for them, for themselves. When you choose to act rather than announce, to focus inward rather than outward, and to rely on your own determination instead of external validation, you step into your authentic power.